Hello and welcome to another episode of Connecting with Kinetic. I'm your host, Jake, and today I'm joined by Nick, founder of Oxen Flow. How are you today, Nick?
Good. How are you, Jake?
I am wonderful. I love the market. It's so stable. It's so logical. I mean, I wake up every day, I get my copy of the Crypto Street Journal, and it's just full of happy folks. I wish maybe someday we'll be like the stock people.
Yeah, 4 months we're going to be sitting on the NASDAQ.
Just relaxing, smoking a cigar or maybe a bubblegum cigar.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about Oxen Flow and also the work in general that you've been doing in the Flare ecosystem.
Yeah, so Oxen Flow itself, something I've been working on for the past year. It's an iOS application, and the idea is to make crypto wallet and crypto asset management way simpler. We're trying to reduce the friction of onboarding, trying to bring native functionality to the user as opposed to just presenting a browser for the user. That said, so my background, I started, in iOS development probably about a decade ago. I got into crypto about 5-6 years ago. My initial project, or not necessarily my initial project, but the big project that I started on blockchain was my data provider, which was built on Flare networks, and that's Aureus Ox. So I run Aureus Ox. It's a data provider on Flare and Songbird. I've been running that provider on and providing infrastructure on Flare since their inception. And based off of that and my background there, I decided that I want to continue building on Flare, and especially since they're coming out with more of these interoperable solutions that are pretty exciting in my opinion. I think it's creating a very good space for developers and making it accessible for users, right? Like, we need the interfaces, we need the UX. A lot of DeFi is going to come to Flare just because of all these interoperable solutions. I want to build Oxen Flow to actually bring those to end users and bring it in a simplified way. So that's the goal with Oxen Flow.
How do you feel about the pace as far as developments with the Flare team? A lot of people are frustrated. What's your take on it?
I mean, my take on it is things take time, especially with testing and making sure a lot of these systems are secure. People have sometimes unrealistic expectations on how long it takes to develop some of these tools. I'm sure over at Kinetic, you guys know how long it takes and how long it takes to get an audit and how long it takes to really test and feel comfortable before pushing something to production. You always want things to go faster, but things usually come when they come, and it is what it is. I have confidence in the Flare development team. I've been working alongside them for quite a while now, and they do great work over there. So as long as it takes is how long it takes.
Do you have a favorite?
A favorite developer?
A favorite person at Flare?
Oh, I don't know. You put me on the spot.
You can't pick Hugo.
No, I can't pick Hugo. I don't know. I'm going to call out Tom T. I don't know if you're familiar with Tom T, but he's, he does some developer relations now. And
No, I'm familiar with Tom T.
I bet you are. He takes a lot of stuff from a lot of people. So I give him a lot of credit for dealing with stuff.
And anybody who has to interact with the wonderful masses. I don't know if you can call a group of people the masses in a positive way.
I don't think so.
That doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound good.
Pitchforks is what comes to mind.
Yeah, it does give the image of a robber baron sitting in a nice velvet room with a big armchair. The masses. We might be getting off topic. You told us a little bit. I'd like to get to know you a little bit better. So you said you started in Web3 about 5 or 6 years ago. So 2020, 2019.
Yeah.
What was, what is starting in Web3 mean for you? I mean, was that when you were starting to invest in things, or was it building?
So I was doing some investing in XRP. That was one of the first that I kind of came across and started actually throwing capital at. From there, truthfully, the Flare airdrop really brought me into figuring out how to develop on a blockchain. I originally wanted to start interfacing with different blockchains and saying, okay, well, I'm going to build something. I like this technology. This is pretty promising, and it's cool. I'm interested in it. But with the Flare airdrop and first reading that white paper, I became more interested in Flare because building a data provider seemed, as though it could be in my wheelhouse, and I could do it pretty well. So that's really where I started building in Web3. Previously like I said, I was just investing in XRP. You can even roll back to a long time ago when I was trying to mine Bitcoin, but that never ended up panning out.
Look, I'll count it.
But yeah, no, I started investing in XRP probably about, 5-6 years ago as well. And then Flare airdrop really brought me into building on blockchain.
How do you feel about the recent XRP news?
I mean, that's great news. What else are we gonna hear from Ripple and XRP coming up? That's what I want to know. But
yeah, it's interesting. It's one of those things where you wait for it so long, and then it happens, and everyone's like,
well, what's the next thing? Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's the same thing when people thinking about, oh, well, when's Flare going to drop this? When's Flare going to drop? It's a very similar parallel. But I mean, in general, there's a lot of positive news that's kind of coming out and surrounding blockchains now that previously was very negative. So, I mean, being a builder on on blockchain in Web3, it's a good positive feeling to have, knowing that we're really starting to mature and come into our own here.
The people who work in this industry are viewed as crazy people, and I hope that over time we can trick them into thinking we're not crazy people.
I think we're semi doing it already. The trick has started.
I'm excited. I'm excited because they are right. They're correct. Nobody who is mentally stable would be in this space, much less try to work in it. That's just a fact. So I hope we can trick the masses and pretend that we're like early founder type people. We knew all along, and we weren't just crazy people that went to where everybody was screaming constantly.
Yeah, I mean, first they think you're crazy, then they start joining you, right?
And then we can all be crazy.
Oh boy.
It's a wonderful space. So let's get back into Oxen Flow. What would you say is your overall vision for it? What do you want it to be for people?
So I really want it to be, I originally had this tagline when I first built Oxen Flow, was that I was going to be the Venmo for blockchain. I went away from that tagline just because it could have copyright issues. But otherwise, I really wanted to sort of be that, right? I want it to be something that somebody who's not familiar with blockchain can use. I wanted to present as a typical Web 2 application, but it runs, on blockchain rails. So for example, wallets today have, and that's just to say, Oxen Flow is a cryptocurrency wallet, right? A lot of wallets today, they have a browser. You need to, in order to interact with any sort of, D-app, you need to go to the browser that's inside of the app. And then you can kind of, it's a free-for-all. So you can kind of do whatever you want, which is prone to user error, which is prone to, you need to really know what you're doing. For example, if you're going to delegate or stake Flare, you need to go to the portal, the Flare network portal, through a browser, through a wallet, and then you need to stake or wrap your Flare, delegate your Flare. And then there's a lot of steps that come with that. With Oxen Flow, we abstract all that out. So really, we allow the user to interact directly with the smart contracts themselves. You can go to Oxen Flow, you can tap delegate. So once your wallet's funded or however many funds you have Flare in there, and you want to start earning yield, you can go to the Earn tab. You can just tap on the delegate button. It'll sign the transactions that need to get signed. It'll wrap your Flare, and then you're earning right away. So I guess in a nutshell, and the TLDR of that whole thing is we want to make things simpler. Getting from point A to point B is going to be more of a Web 2 experience as opposed to you need to know how a wallet works. You need to know how to make a transaction. You need to know how to submit the transaction type of thing. And we want to present it in a native way. So you want to, go to a tab on an iOS app and you tap a button and it's right there, right? Instead of having to go to the browser experience. And ideally what this kind of translates into is, Oxen Flow is presenting multiple different ways that you can earn yield, but it's presenting them in a way that you still don't need to know what a blockchain is. You can say, all right, well, I'm going to go to the Earn tab and I want to, earn yield that has this percent APY. All right, well, there's something that has this percent APY. I'm just going to tap a button and I'm going to earn it. It's going to be low risk for me. Similar to if you wanted to, go and, drop funds in a high yield staking account, you can do it pretty simply from your bank account app. And that's all maintained in a central way on a back end. But instead of that, now we have something that's maintained in a decentralized way with a blockchain backend. So it's really, really trying to reduce that friction and making it simple for users that have never or don't even need to know about blockchain interact with blockchain.
It's a dream that I hope we get to en masse soon. It's been a slow crawl. It of course it's getting better. It's a problem everybody knows we need to solve, but yeah, it takes time because there are certain concepts that you can present an easy interface, but if somebody doesn't know what APY means,
true.
Like,
even there,
yeah. There's certain basic little blocks of education it's tough. And people ask for, okay, make educational content. It's like, well, it's out there. It's like, okay, can you force feed it to me? Is there a direct pipeline? Can I attach a nozzle to my computer screen? Maybe someday.
Perhaps.
We can set up an information trough for everybody. So it's just for iOS.
Yes, currently.
Do we have plans for good old Android in the future?
There are plans, yes. And the idea of doing it iOS first was just because my expertise originally is in iOS. And another thing that differentiates Oxen Flow from pretty much any wallet that I'm aware of now, most wallets are written in JavaScript and they're compiled cross-platform. Oxen Flow is written in pure Swift and the native language of iOS. So with that, you get all of the security guarantees that come with iOS. And once we implement the Android version, it's the same deal, right? Like we have direct access to Secure Enclave. We have any of the new features that are coming out, we have access to on iOS. That was really one of the sticking points that I saw, especially in my time as a corporate iOS developer, was that building native was always better. Mm-hmm. Building these cross-compiled JavaScript, you have this interpreter. There's always added complexity that you don't necessarily have the ability to trust. So, Oxen Flow is an audited application. All of the transaction signing functionality and the smart contracts that we use, they're all audited by a third party. We take security seriously, and part of that is building something that is inherently secure. So with that comes building an app in native Swift.
No, it makes a lot of sense. I would guess that the majority of mobile heavy users probably use iOS.
Yeah, so that's another reason why we go with iOS.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have those figures, but I would assume.
Yeah, in general, that is what it is. I think also a lot of for larger apps today have started as an iOS first application. So.
Well, I know it's a little the process is a little funkier.
For iOS, yes.
Yeah.
You have to go through the review process on Apple, and then that does give you a little bit of a bottleneck when you want to release new versions. But again, I mean, that's kind of the nature of Apple and keeping things secure and in a tight fashion. They have a process for everything. So, yeah, I mean, I've been in the Apple ecosystem again for probably over a decade now, and developing on iOS for probably over a decade now. So I'm used to it.
Sure.
But yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely different going from iOS to Android. But we do have it in the roadmap. It's once we kind of reach mass, momentum here on iOS, that's when it's going to kick off our Android implementation.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense. Serve the larger customer base. Question, because I'm interested.
Sure.
What was your career like before Web3? Before you made this bad decision?
Hey, that's in the beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, right? So I started I was a computer science major out of college. And I went to Wayfair after college. So I started as a full stack developer at Wayfair. And only a few months in, I tried to join their iOS team, which I eventually made it on. And I've been an iOS developer ever since. I've worked at a startup. I've worked for a couple of big companies, worked for Wayfair, worked for, HBO Max, Discovery, that company. But I mean, yeah, I mean, most of my corporate career has been iOS and Swift. And obviously that's another reason why I feel so strongly about moving for iOS, developing an application iOS first. I mean, even, Apple has kind of deployed a lot of different upgrades for Swift lately, and which is the native language. And Swift UI is, pretty advanced, pretty easy to use. It makes it very simple and quick to build a quick and dirty interface that you can bring to users. So I think they're moving in the right direction in that way in the developer aspect of it. So I mean, it just makes my life that much easier.
Well, I mean, it's good to just be like, hey, well, and also it's good to show people like, I can do this.
Yeah. yeah. Like my expertise is here. Like, this is what I do, kind of deal.
Yeah, so. I can do this because there's a lot of projects in Web3 that don't exactly have the we'll say structured background that you do.
It's a trust thing too. So even if I wanted to go out and hire somebody, it makes it hard to trust people, especially with the history in Web3 alone. It's just a very tight knit thing where like you keep your cards close to your chest because you know that that there's so much maleficent or just maliciousness that is actually out there. Mm-hmm. Trust is a big thing in Web3 that is like, it's very fragile, especially in this space.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, that's one thing that is very strange about working in Web3 is it's not so much about being the best version of whatever. It's mostly like presenting yourself at least as, hey, I'm just like a regular human being.
Yeah.
Because, the sigh of relief you get when, you pop on an interview and you're like, hello, I'm regular. Because it's an unending torrent of just garbage that people who are in any kind of position of power or influence in Web3 have to deal with. So
yeah, they do. And I mean, it seems like things are going in the right direction in that way, but I don't know, these weird people just weasel their way into positions of power that they can exploit something.
Yeah.
And it's just the unfortunate truth. And, it sucks, but it is what it is. Like I would opt, instead of outsourcing something, to just build it myself just based on that fact. Like it's not even worth the reputation hit or just the, anything. It's really not worth anything to actually go and outsource something when I know I can do it myself, because it's just such it's an untrustworthy community of people. Whereas if you were just building a regular iOS application with nothing to do with blockchain, you can just go to Freelancer and pick somebody up and they'll write some code for you.
Yeah, it's a really big problem. Like there's less gatekeeping, but that hasn't really gotten us anything positive, really.
Yeah, it's like a consequences thing too. There's nobody to answer to. People can steal all this money and do all these things, but then there's still no consequences. Somebody in Korea or wherever they are doing whatever, and they just do it.
Yeah.
Because they have no moral compass. That's why. But it is what it is.
Very positive way to kind of taper this off. I will ask you, what's the best place for people to connect with you if they want to, know more about all the stuff you're doing?
Absolutely, yeah. Go to you can go to Oxen Flow, our Oxen Flow handle on X, which is just at Oxen Flow. Or you can contact me directly on X. You can just check out my profile. I talk a lot of nonsense on there, but I keep it PG. And and yeah, I mean, feel free to DM. My DMs are always open. I always love hearing feedback about Oxen Flow. I try to hold feedback highly and listen to what users really want in the application and build it out as fast as possible. So yeah, hit me up on X or DMs, wherever. I'm on Telegram as well. So I'm available.
All right. Do you have any final thoughts or a little summary before we sign off?
No, just go to the Apple App Store and download Oxen Flow and let me hear it.
Download it. Do it. If you think, no, I don't want to, just do it anyway.
Exactly. That is awesome.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. This has been another episode of Connecting with Kinetic.